So this is BLAM. It's a game I wrote a few years ago. So first of all, to cheat, hold down the letters SCATZ at the same time, and you'll see it says you found the cheat, right? That means you have infinite lives. Okay, let's go. So it's an interesting game. There's a lot of well, I'll get into it first. It's basically a sideways scrolling shoot 'em up, but there's a few interesting things about this game that I really love. There was sort of a prototype or something I was working on to see how far I could push the limit of the spectrum at the time. So the objective of this game was to get as much color as I possibly could get onto the screen. So one of the tricks that I did, you can see it's big sprites, very colorful, and that's what I was going for, right? So one of the tricks I used was to stop color clash. Was, if you notice, our spaceship flies behind objects, right? Which is really cool because that way I don't have to worry about color clash at all. You can see just at the edges. So a lot of the graphics, even though they have some rounded edges, they're designed pretty large, but reasonably squarish, right? Even the rockets, you'll see, like, you know, they take up a full character space, right? And that's so that we could use as much get as much color as possible onto the graphics, right? So that was one really cool thing I noticed, right? It also helps with the speed of the speed of the game because you don't have to in terms of the Z80 code, I don't have to worry too much about the background. Everything is just blasted onto the screen as fast as physically possible. Like while you are seeing a scrolling screen, it's not actually a scrolling screen. The way it's designed is I think it's about 48 graphic blocks that can be blasted onto the screen. So we start by blasting the background on, then we blast the our ships on, the alien ships on, and then we blast the foreground on. So the foreground, so that's what you sort of see. It's the character jumps on it, right? So everything moves the character at a time, and it's as quick as you can get on a spectrum, put it that way, right? And that way we get all the colors. I think are we there? Are we there for the? Oh no, not there. Almost there. Excited there. I thought I got to the big guy, right? So because you have to have a big boss man at every level, right? There's a few interesting, sort of stupid jokes as well within here. Like anybody who's a Thunderbird fan might recognize that. Well, the ship that we fly, number one here, looks a little bit like the tiny ship that flies out of Thunderbird 2 that goes underwater. I sort of wanted a ship that looks like that. So obviously I'm a sci-fi fan. So there are a number of homilies. There's a number of things I put in that I sort of liked, you know. I think those the big blue ships there, and there's a lot of stuff ripped off, or not ripped off, but copies on the likes of Cylon ships and Vipers from Battlestar Galactica and stuff like. There is a big Millennium Falcon there somewhere as well. So the big red ships are very like little Millennium Falcons, right? So that was my sort of copy of those as well, right? So it is quite a tricky game to play. So obviously, even with playing with Infinite Lives now, it's a lot easier. But playing it for real is quite hard. And there are 3 levels that you got to work with. I think those ships there, that's just the white ones, they're like the Klingons, as far as I can remember. They were like birds of prey. I think those purple ones are also a bit like birds of prey sideways, right? So you can show my and if what's also interesting, just if you're interested in Spectrum code, the basics of this engine sort of started with Vigilante. So if you ever played Vigilante, you'll see sort of the sprite core of the sprite engine was started there, and then I took it onto a sort of a more multicolor engine for Super Ted, believe it or not. If you've seen Super Ted, you'll see a similar sort of side-scrolling action, right? And then this was another stage forward where I went for bigger sprites, more color, faster sprites, and then used this background effect to try and prevent color clash. The other thing you'll also notice in the background is the parallax stars. So again, there was another sort of thing I wanted us to implement, right? So there's two things going on, right? First of all, there are two levels of parallax stars. There's one in the very far distance, and there's one moving slightly faster in the nearer distance, right? So it makes it look like a bit more sort of parallax, right? And then the other thing I did was the stars are slightly bigger. A lot of these sort of games would have done single pixels for stars, but I decided to use sort of double pixels, I think, or quadruple pixels, just to make them a little bit bigger. And the reason why they flash is because I use random colors for the star fields. And again, that was another trick that I was trying. So here's where you'll sort of see, I'll come back to the stars, but here's where you'll see everything is a square, Damian, right? So well, you have a rectangular spaceship, you'll see when we eventually kill them, which we'll do very shortly, I hope, right? Come on. Ah, we'll get him. Oh, no, we'll get him. Nearly there. Okay, so it sounds like, oh, there we go, right? Right, see, it's a square, right? So, so that was the trick. So that's level 1. So now we're on sector 2, right, which is also another tricky level. So this is where I decided to go landscape wise, but try and see if I could do even bigger sprites, right? So those big mushroom type things are actually huge, right? You'll also notice on this one, I'm not 100% sure why, but it's a little bit faster this level, right? Yeah, I think it's maybe because there's less going on in terms of the bigger sprites, but it's a bit chaotic, right? In terms of the gameplay, right? Other thing as well, one thing to make it harder, you don't have infinite rockets. It looks like you do, but you don't. To make it a little bit trickier, I put in a facility. They only have 6 bullets. 6 rockets are on the screen at any one time. So if you fire all 6, you effectively get a straight line of bullets, right? But you run out very quickly. So the trick to play this game, to be able to succeed, really is to use bullets one at a time. So it's fire. You know, you get the idea, right? But you fire your bullets individually, not holding down the fire button all the time. And that's oh, there's the Millennium Falcon. Look, oh, little Millennium Falcon. Oh, that's how homage to the Millennium Falcon, right? But that's the reason why I did that, right? I think that A7 might be sort of just a name. I looked at the A7 chip or something, because I remember at the time AMD had some nice chips, so I think I was just looking at those chips at the time, right? Any other interesting things you can see on this, right? The other thing as well, obviously the tank bombs, the big red circles that come out, they're also cycling multicolored, right? And this was also the first time where I introduced, probably when you see it in an explosion, when something explodes, it's not just a bang. There is a sort of a little bit more of a few pixels floating around, right? That's where I had introduced a state engine, where when I started an explosion would just start on its own. It's a separate routine to keep explosions going. Scoreboard is probably quite interesting as well. If you're a user of the Spectrum, you know about the 3 chips, 2K, 2K, and 2K that are used. So obviously using only the top part of the screen means I only have to maintain the top parts, right? So it's faster to update the screen. But I tried to get as much color as I possibly could in the lower half, and again, this was one of the ideas that I wanted to try and work with. Like, what could you really do with a Spectrum? Like, if you look at, let me see, even at the green, it got 2 shades of green, right? 2 shades of yellow just there. Again, on this, there's another 2 shades of yellow on those sort of mushroom like things, right? I actually did spend quite a lot of time thinking about the graphics for this game to see how I could get as much color out of the Spectrum as possible, because obviously the Spectrum only has 8 colors, and then everything is bright or dark, you know, which gives you the sort of 16. So you can see that at the BLAM logo at the bottom, all the cycling colors. I just had that sort of cycling as fast as I could, but it gives a sort of a nice impression of lots of multicolor stuff going on. So that's the sort of level 2. So it's a pity that one thing looking back at the game now, it gets actually some good reviews actually from people, which is great. But there's loads of stuff I just didn't get a chance to do at the time. Like, there's no facility to collect any tokens for extra weapons or bonus lives, so it's pretty much 3 lives is it. One of the things I would have liked to do, and I'm always considering whether I do a remake of the game, is to, and I don't know why there's an Easter egg. I think that was my joke, to put an Easter egg in. Let's put an Easter egg in. So and I think about it, it's a joke, right? But I would like the when you move your ship up and down, it would be nice if it rotated even a slight bit, which could have been very easily done. Same thing with the blue ships there, as they rotate up. If they had just rotated it, just tilted at an angle slightly, again would have looked very cool. So that type of animation would be very good, right? And again, very simple to do. I've always thought as well about the rockets, whether should the rockets have stayed as rockets, or would they have been better at by having lasers? Because lasers, then, if I had lasers, I would have been able to put a strafing on it or something like that. Even maybe the rockets themselves, maybe I should have put some smoke coming out of them. Certainly, a few minor touches could have definitely stepped up the game a little bit more. But as as it is, it was pushing at the time. It was pushing the spectrum as fast as it could. Like you can see, even on this spaceship, there's a little bit of animation. You see the sort of the spinny thing in the center of the ship that does spin around. So there is. I did think about animating different ships. The whole game was actually developed by myself. Graphics were done by myself as well. And even the music at the start was written by me, right? But the idea was to self-publish, but didn't happen because I was too busy doing other things. So I worked with Control Software and Aidan O'Callaghan, and Aidan was the publisher. So thanks to Aidan for doing that for me. It was great for him to take the game on, and also to keep in contact with me. So that's level 2. So now we're on the final level. So here's the interesting. So I try and change the graphic style again, right? Now, where this one came from, interesting. Big game at the time that I liked playing was Target Renegades, right? And I liked the way Target Renegade used a yellow foreground and the sort of a slightly three-dimensional view. So I was wondering, well, what could I do? Could I change the graphics a little bit more to get a little bit more depth? And this level actually, well, it's still the same game. It does have a slightly bit more depth to it, a slight bit more depth, like a 3D sort of feel. Again, would have been nice. Oh, there's our Easter eggs again, right? It would have been nice, just looking at this level, if you had a shadow underneath the spaceship that floated on the ground, right? But again, another thing, maybe the remake. When I do the remake, I'll do that, right? But I'd love to remake this on the Spectrum actually, and even the next. And then at some stage, for the fun, I might do a PC version of it, just do it in Unity or something, just to demonstrate the game as it stood. Oh, I just noticed another those spaceships. The front of the red spaceships are like eagles. So for Space 1999 fans, and you recognise the eagles, right? I was also a big fan of Space 1999. Commander Koenig and all his crew. So again, you might see influences of that in the game as well. And I suppose, if you're going to give credit as well, to people, that inspired me at the time, there are also the likes of Houston. I didn't work for Houston, but I wrote for Houston, wrote articles for them, right? And the likes of Raphael Secco and Dominic Robinson, the things that they were doing on the Spectrum at the time were amazing visually. So they were the sort of the guys that I would look up to and say, but I wish I could make a game as cool as that. But that's a story for another day, as they say. I thought when I did Vigilante, actually the big game at the time, the big competition at the time was Target Renegade. So. But his game was better than mine, right? I have to admit, right? His game's better than mine, right? But it was good to be developing a beat 'em up at that time, because it did sort of inspire me to say, look, write the very best game I possibly could. If I can even get anywhere near the competition, I'd be happy. Don't know if I really got near, but the usual That's up to the players to decide. Not for me, but certainly I prefer Renegade. Renegade is an amazing game. So if you haven't played it on a Spectrum, it's one to watch, one to play, right? So that's the story. So how are we doing? Oh, more Easter eggs, right? So this is a bit more pretend Klingon ships. We won't say anything about that. More pretend. You'll also notice those little rockets that shoot up and down. Look at the Super Ted game. You might see rockets very similar to them, right? So it's a good advantage. One of the things I also recommend to all developers, if you are writing game code, right, is document your code properly, so that when you go back, you can say, "Oh yeah, there's a good function." There's a lot of functions I use because every game you code should be better than the next one. Better than the last one. But you should pick something in every game to say, "What am I going to do next? What am I going to try next?" So when I did Moonwalker, it was just the pure complexity of it. Then so Vigilantes was the start where I developed my sprite engine. Then from that sprite engine, it was how can I push it even faster? And then when I came to here was I can get more color. Super Ted was all about playability. It was the first game I wrote that had easy level and hard level. But every game I write, I look at, well, what could I push? What can I improve? As I've discussed through this sort of walk through, there's lots of little bits I can say, oh yeah, maybe the next version, if I could have done a little bit more there, you could step it up a bit more. I'm even looking at the scrolling, like while this scrolls fairly quickly at a character based, I've also been thinking about whether oh, there's my dog. I hope you can hear him in the background, right? Whether I could have done it at maybe 4 pixels. Nibbles might have actually worked. Might have got away with it. I wouldn't have got it as smooth as the color, but I certainly could have done it maybe on the ships. Because it's so heavily background based with the black and just the foreground colors. Certainly there's some tricks I could have used there. And look, there's a lot of stuff on the Spectrum. You see new stuff. It'd be interesting to see what you could do like this with Spectrum Next. If you have with the full color. The last big guy, right? And again, tiny bit of animation on this guy as well, right? So as far as I can remember, it's only 2 sprites I use for this big spaceship. So, but it does look. It shows what you can do. It looks like it's looks like the propellers are animation on it. You can do a lot of animation, but strange enough, in the Spectrum days, you can do a lot with two sprites. Okay, let's see if we get this guy out of the way. And just for those who are interested, when I'm finished this level and knock this guy off, we'll let the music just play out because it'd be interesting to see. It's the first piece of music I wrote that had 3 channels. Yay! We win! Ta-da! The Ark can once again be free. So that's BLAM. So that's BLAM, and you can download it on itch from our website if you want to play it.